All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Happy Monday to everybody out there watching. We really do appreciate it. So, there's a lot to talk about today. We've got fallout from the Super Bowl and the halftime show, a program that I did not watch. Also, the Turning Point competitor, which I also didn't watch. So I'm kind of in the dark, but I have seen, the chatter online about which camp do you fall into, so we'll talk about that. Also, is Jeffrey Epstein really dead? There are now reports out there, documents within the Epstein Files that raise serious questions about his body, how it was moved, decoy gurneys, that sort of thing. We'll talk about that, as well as his gamer tag that, according to internet sleuths, is still active, playing the game Fortnite or other games, and I'm kind of ignorant about that sort of thing. But there are people that are saying it's raising even more questions about what, that ABC News reporter said. He's the most prolific pedophile in recorded history. So we're going to talk about that, and as well as your food, if we have time. We're going to talk about the DOJ as well, Pam Bondi. Is she doing everything she can, even in the little ways? And the answer is no. We've got that story for you as well. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell program.
All right, folks, thanks so much for being with us. We've got Eric Haynes is in seat number 2 today. Eric, sir, how are you?
Good afternoon. Great to be part of the conversation.
It's always great to have you, sir. I really appreciate your time and appreciate your opinions, what you bring to the show. I want to remind everybody to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, whether you're watching on Rumble, whether you're watching on X or Facebook or all of the things. Just please do all of the things. We would really appreciate it. So let's first of all, let's ask Eric, did you watch the Super Bowl?
Absolutely, I sure did. It was horrible.
Really?
The game itself was. I mean, I remember going into halftime, looking over at the rest of the crew, and we're all sitting around, and it's, 4 field goals is the total of the points scored. Not a single touchdown in the first half, and it was pretty boring. It was tough to watch that, and we were pulling for Drake May and the Patriots, so it was tough.
So, okay, you're gonna, and I'm happy to live in this bubble, but for whatever reason, in my media consumption, I totally missed who was in the Super Bowl. I don't even know who won last night. So can you enlighten me?
Seahawks were definitely favored to win, and they definitely put it to them. That's
okay.
all I'll say.
Seahawks and the Patriots.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that was it. All right. So sorry.
It's all good.
I don't even know.
We're literally Monday morning or Monday quarterbacking right now.
We literally are. So, I mean, for months we've heard about Bad Bunny. First I'd ever heard of him. I knew he was the controversial pick to do the Super Bowl, and of course it was, it was all in Spanish. I think his entire act was in Spanish, and people are not happy about that. I mean, just so we're clear, like, I haven't gotten excited about the Super Bowl for a long time. There was a moment, long ago where, I liked the Super Bowl or the NFL or whatever. That's since waned. Then there was a moment in my life where I would watch the halftime shows, didn't care about the game, but to watch the halftime show so I could see the satanic symbolism, because many of the shows in the past have been overtly satanic, which, as somebody that knew about Little St. James Island, which we're going to talk about today, and Jeffrey Epstein and the alleged, satanic acts that are now out in the Epstein Files, it was kind of a way to, just kind of subtly tell the people who you really are. And, that's just art. That's just art. That's, me singing on top of a giant golden bull statue and or whatever the satanic acts were, or the esoteric symbolism behind it. That's that. So I had a phase where I watched the Super Bowl for that. Let me see what these sickos are actually trying to tell us. And then for this year, and I think last year too, I don't know. I've just lost all interest. Also because I think the NFL is rigged. That's a whole nother show.
Whole nother show for sure on the refs and NFL and betting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a simpleton, admittedly, and everything is what it is by comparison to something else. And for me, growing up, Super Bowl Sunday was a big deal. And after church on Sunday evenings, we would always have people over at our house, or we would go to somebody else's house and have big Super Bowl parties. Or as a youth group, I can remember some really great times. And there was just some great halftime performances growing up. I mean, I'll never forget Michael Jackson's performance and so many others throughout all those years growing up. And I just, the last couple of years, a couple or 3 years have just, in my opinion, been terrible, not entertaining really, and not my cup of tea. And I'm okay with that. I don't have to make some big stance about it. I didn't post anything on social media about it, telling everybody else what I was doing and that we were going to go watch the alternative halftime performance, but it was really good, and I watched both. So I watched the Turning Point USA halftime performance during halftime, and then later the game got so bad in the second half that I went into my office, popped on YouTube TV, and went back and watched the Bad Bunny halftime performance. And I have some Hispanic friends that absolutely loved it. They could understand it. Great. It just was not entertaining for me at all, and I'm not making that political. That doesn't make me a racist or whatever ist or ick
Yeah.
to not enjoy that and not like that. It just wasn't for me.
Well, yeah, in the Super Bowl in the NFL, specifically.
But Kid Rock, Ball with the Ball was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I would say the Super Bowl is kind of generally, it is cultural phenomenon. And it's a part of that overall pop culture structure that can be used to that is used to put out messages.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, in the last 10, 15 years, it's an instrument. It's an institutional instrument of the left. It's where they put out their messaging. I referenced they put out some really dark stuff in the past as well, specifically at the halftime show. And so this is the same apparatus that told us the exact same woke messaging for the last 10 years, whether it was BLM, LGBTQ, RSTLNE, would you like to buy a vowel? Like all of that stuff, along with the government telling us, for the most part, the government telling us, you have to believe, you have to care about this issue. They want to proselytize about what issue you should care about. And today, because Donald Trump is president, because ICE is deporting people and arresting people, they obviously picked a Hispanic. Is he a rapper or a singer? I don't even know.
Puerto Rican rapper.
Okay. And he did the whole thing in Spanish as a way to basically
100%.
say, no, actually America is this and you think it's that. It's just another symptom of that. We're a completely divided country.
Yeah. And we didn't turn the channel because we felt like our 11-year-olds and 7-year-olds couldn't handle Bad Bunny's performance. That wasn't the reason. We just, turned the channel to an alternative so that the kids could understand and hear some good messaging in words and songs that they recognized from K-Fine and some of our local country music stations.
Yeah,
it was great.
Well, so here,
not a big deal.
So this is Bad Bunny. We've talked about this before, where we've looked at like the 90-foot tall monkey statue in Texas. That's a Hindu statue, and I've made the remark before that you look at stuff like that, and when it happens, cultures of the past or in the bygone era, I guess you might say, wow, did we lose a war? Have we what's actually happened here? And that's kind of the same feeling. And again, I didn't see the show. I've just seen the images and that sort of thing. But when you look at other nations' flags and everything like that, and I understand he's burned the American flag before. Or did they do that? Yeah, that looks like an American flag kind of in the very back there.
I'm going to say this too. In all fairness and objectivity, I didn't see anything in his performance other than some pretty risque dancing and some other things that you can clip and take snapshots of that may be considered a little bit of a big deal to some. But again, my point is we did not turn the channel in protest to that because we didn't want to support a Hispanic-only halftime show. There was just a better alternative on to where the kids could sing along with songs, and frankly, I could enjoy a song from my youth that I mean, I saw Kid Rock at Memphis in May when I was in college, and he's just still rocking to this day.
They,
and his message at the end, in his last song, about the Bible and about.
Yes, I did see that part.
That was really, really incredible.
The biggest sticking point seems to be, it being in, a non-English performance and people not understanding it, who are, who don't speak Spanish, which is most of the people in America, at least for now. But William Wolf, who's the director for the Center of Baptist Leadership, says, imagine being one of the last living World War II veterans in America watching a degenerate Puerto Rican rapper named Bad Bunny performing in Spanish and surrounded by foreign flags at the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal. And that kind of leads us to this next story.
6+ million people turned in and changed the channel to the Turning Point USA halftime show too. So it made a big impact that there was something different that people could adjust to not have to feel like that they were being, to your point about some of the messaging that's happened for years. I mean, last year's Super Bowl was a big part of it was about a fight between two rappers in regards to pedophilia. So, people just would rather have an alternative than have to worry about what they're going to say and who they're going to be fighting with and what political message they're going to be making from the stage of the Super Bowl halftime show. And so,
Well, around the same time over the weekend, we had a statement by Congressman Gene Wu, a Democrat from Texas, I believe. And this is a clip from In Wokeness. He does not actually say what is highlighted here on your screen. He does not say that verbatim. That is not an actual quote. It's in quotations. We kind of noticed that as we were doing show prep or the last rundown before we went live. But so he doesn't say this exact quote, non-whites share the same oppressor and we are the majority now. We can take this country over. He doesn't say that verbatim, but he does. It is a good summary of what he says. Yeah. Take a listen to this.
I always tell people the day the Latino, African-American, Asian, and other communities realize that they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning, because we are the majority in this country now. We have the ability to take over this country and to do what is needed for everyone and to make things fair. But the problem is our communities are divided. They're completely divided. And I talk about.
So they're divided for now, but if they ever unite.
What's the expectation here, that the Asians and the Hispanics and blacks
kill Whitey?
Dude.
Well, I'm just telling what he's saying. Like it's like Voltron, when they get it all together, it'll be a giant anti-white killing machine, I guess. Or maybe it won't be a killing machine. It'll be an anti-white marginalization machine.
Yeah. He's like, we're so divided, but if we ever didn't be so divided, then, man, we could really do some damage to our oppressors. It's like,
you take this comment, though, and you put it with that woke lady podcaster who talked about in the wake of one of the ICE, deaths, about the white Christians, and they're the worst kind. There was the church. It was in the wake of the Minneapolis church being stormed by Don Lemon. And talking about how fundamental white Christians are a cancer, I think is what she said.
He'll get a bunch of white guilters that will buy into that message and go along with that as if that's in any way objective or true.
So this clip kind of goes viral when they had all this outrage because Trump posted on Truth Social a short that had the beginning of another short on it where Barack and Michelle Obama, their faces were put on gorillas or monkeys. I don't know which one.
Obviously stupid. So if Rob was sitting here today, he'd be like, "Dadgum, it was so stupid." Yeah. And I'm right with him on that. I don't mean to speak for him, but I think he would say that because it was stupid, because it's another distraction when you've got all these good things going on and there's, positivity happening in so many areas of this country, and I talk about this all the time. Stock market's going up, gas prices are going down, other good things are happening, interest rates are coming down. All this good. We're finally back on the stage, and other countries respect us, and then it's like this stupid Lion King Like, no, don't put that out.
Yeah,
it's so dumb.
Yeah, and again, I think it was accidental, and the people are wanting the staffer fired. They're saying they're not going to do that. I think that's the way things work. I don't know if you're ever scrolling through shorts, and if you try to screen grab one, was it a mistake? Sure. But, of course, everybody runs with it, and it's like, he did it on purpose, and it's like, come on. I mean, no, he didn't. But the whole thing is just, I don't know, I just yawned. When I saw that this was the controversy, I was like, I'm to the point now where even stuff like that, I just don't care, because I think that I think racism, this is actually a good point. Racism is now so broadly defined that even when something like that happens, I'm like, whatever, be outraged, if you want to be outraged, or don't be outraged. I just think the whole thing is a waste of time, a giant waste of time to be outraged about. But Matt Walsh responds to that and says, I'm supposed to be outraged by an Obama monkey meme while Democrat elected officials are labeling the entire white race oppressors and openly plotting to conquer and subjugate us. Trump can post all the memes he wants. I really don't care at all. I really don't care at all. That's where I'm at with this whole situation, because I think there's a lot of well-meaning people out there that are still kind of in that 1990s post. We can be post-racial, and yet you have the other side that's like, well, no, we're not going to be post-racial, actually. And I think there's conflicts brewing down the road that are going to happen, whether you want them to or not. It's gonna be bad.
And to your point correctly, the term itself, racism, has been twisted and put into so much of the narrative that then everything's racist, and you just disagreeing with something that makes you that racist.
Yes.
And that's where we have to hopefully change as a country, and how we deal with a lot of things is in our conversations and what we talk about on social media, and the stupid back and forth ping-ponging that we get. Like, once you go down that road, it's like, for me, the conversation just stops. It's like, nope.
Yeah. I think generally, though,
done. Yeah,
generally, it's a great thing that the allegations of racism are losing their power.
Yeah,
is such a. I mean, it's no longer. I mean, there was a time, and there still is. There are still people like this, where like the worst thing that could ever happen to them is to be publicly called a racist. And so their whole life they're walking on eggshells, and I want to carefully navigate, stereotypes, or carefully navigate how I engage with other people, because I don't want people to, and it's just like an exhausting way to live, and it's ridiculous.
Or I don't want BLM to come after my business.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be strong-armed into putting up whatever I have to, and donate money to whoever I have to, so that I'm not called a racist.
Yeah. It's like it's a weird, it's a cultural emotional abuse that's gone on, that people are living their lives just in constant fear, and it's like actually creating trauma, like, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
When you said racist and you rolled the R there, have you been watching Nerdrotic?
I think that's maybe where I got it.
Okay, because that's what he does. Okay, so
racist.
Here is let's talk about Dan Bongino. Okay, so he is getting in a lot of the comments, like, people are not buying what he's selling. And the reason they're not buying, a lot of people on the right, a lot of them, some of them are, a lot of people are not buying what he's selling. It just comes down to one simple thing, and that's humility. There's no humility. There's not even trying to throw those people on the right, like me, a bone, and being like, yeah, we didn't accomplish like what we wanted to. Like, maybe you did some things here and there, yes, but on the big things, I don't know, like the idea that our government is run by a bunch of pedophiles, like that one right there, was not a realized goal, right? And those of us that are pointing that out are called black pillars. Dan Bongino is calling us black pillars, when in reality, Rob astutely has pointed out that the original black, like, if there is a field, if there's a black pill crop to be harvested in a field somewhere, it is Dan Bongino that seeded the field when he had his podcast The first time, before he took the deputy director. He was a
Yeah.
part of that ecosphere. He might not have been the only one, he's not the sole one, but it's not like Dan Bongino was skeptical of what the government told us. He was skeptical of, well, if the government says it, you should definitely give it extra scrutiny. And I'm paraphrasing here. This is generally the in the broadest sense, you could use that to describe anybody who has a talk show on the right. Be skeptical of those in power and don't trust them. So one of our guys is now goes into power, and we expected great things. Many people expected great things, and then you quit, which is fine. Could have been a lot of reasons for that, family, whatever. But you don't come to your audience hat in hand. Instead, you come and attacking people for being upset that the Trump administration is not living up to a lot of people's expectations. And we may have bad expectations. We may have unrealistic expectations. But the lack of humility that Dan Bongino, I think, is displaying here is the reason he's got it. And people just don't think his attitude right now is a genuine attitude. At least that's my take. And so here's a tweet that happened back on the 8th, yesterday. He says, appears the black pillars and doomers are in the end stages of yet another meltdown. The copium meds haven't kicked in yet. It's all noise, and they know it. So they kick and scream because they can't stop it. Change doctors, doomers. You're getting bad medical advice. Now, medical analogy is probably not the best for him. I mean, he did take the vaccine. Just throwing that out there. I know other people did too. I get it. But that brings me to Luke Rudkowski over here. There's a document in the Epstein Files that's come out that show that under Bongino and Patel's FBI, what am I talking about?
You're good.
FBI, that they were filtering out names of secretaries of state. Who do we redact? Basically, that's what this document is. Who do we redact? And so you see down here in the blue that somebody is asking specific and clear guidance to redact photographs. Some photographs depict victims, unknown, unidentified females and males, former U.S. presidents, Secretary of State, and other celebrities. And so people are now using this document to say, well, this was theoretically under your watch. Did you know anything about this? I actually want to know, just on a kind of a related level, like how many of the Epstein files that we are seeing now, and there's more of them, but the ones that have been released, how many did Dan Bongino ever lay eyes upon before now? And that it's just a question that I have. Because something tells me...
Not 3 million.
Not 3 million. Not 3 million.
No.
Or was there a database where he could search keywords and again, that would be another out for Bongino, wouldn't it? It'd be another out for him to be like, well, the files they gave me weren't accurate, but the ones that are out now I never saw, and it really was that bad. But he's not even saying that. I guess I don't know.
I think it's to him what it is to President Trump, which is an annoyance and a distraction from what they would like to do, which is just to play the game. And we've talked about this before. We just want to move forward. We want to focus on all these good things going on. This is a distraction. This is in the past. There's nothing we can do about it now. They just don't get it, how big of a deal it is. And for fathers like us that are reading through this stuff and we're getting sick to our stomachs over it, and we want people arrested. We want people to go to jail. We want these folks exposed, especially at the level that we're seeing past presidents and Hollywood elites and big giant donors and probably a bunch of names that we've never even heard of before, but have pockets that have no bottom to them, and they've been able to get out of this without any repercussions or accountability, and it's just not acceptable.
Likewise, you've got Bondi, who is on tape because of the James O'Keefe expose. She's on tape saying, well, we're not releasing them because there's child porn. There's so much child porn, and it's everywhere. And so then you think, well, when it comes to the stuff that's written down, how much of what we're seeing has Trump seen?
Yeah.
And again,
I think they keep him isolated from it.
Exactly. And so, he's listening to Pam Bondi telling everybody to get over it. And yet we're out there now reading and we have a searchable database and we're like, oh my gosh. And now, it looks like there's a cover up and people are protecting pedophiles. That's what it looks like.
Like, think about Trump's agenda. And there's nobody that works harder and more hours of the day than him. But how much of his time does he want to spend going through this stuff now? No. He wants to, work out deals and get billions of dollars and trillions of dollars of investment from other countries poured into the U.S. And he wants to get, prices lowered on things. And he wants this and he wants that. All those things. I get it. That's him. That's things that make him look good. And those are things he can put on his list for his brag book, which he's great with his brag book, as we all know. I mean, he'll turn a 20-minute teleprompter speech into 45 minutes if he can squeeze an extra 25 worth of saying, man, isn't it great that we went over and we got all this money? And isn't it great how awesome we're doing? And we blew all those people up or all that stuff up over and wherever. Yeah. So, anyway.
No, sorry. I mean, to your point, if he did that on the kind of the filibuster of the speech on National Prayer Breakfast the other day.
I saw that. It's like, dude, you got to wrap it up.
I know. And this is the National Prayer Breakfast guy. Come on.
They want to pray. They don't need to see you rip Thomas Massey a new one.
Yeah, and then that's another whole thing.
Totally.
Him supporting all these rhinos. It's like, you're going to bash. You might have a legitimate disagreement with Thomas Massey, but you're endorsing Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, give me a break, man.
Yeah.
And so it's just insane. And I have had, and I told you and Rob this, I didn't want to spend a ton of time on the Super Bowl. We probably spent too much of it. I wanted to focus on Epstein again because there's just more and more stuff. You've got millions of documents and people are finding more and more. And the more I read about it, I'm like, this is not about politics. This is disgusting. This is a huge deal. And I just feel morally obligated to not just move on. Like, we can't just move on from the Epstein Files. We can't. Because not only is it, kind of secondarily, it's proving all of the conspiracy theorists right, which means we should listen to them more in the future. But it's revealing who our real masters are, and they are really evil people in the snare of the devil. And some of them know they're in the snare of the devil and are actively choosing to stay there.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example, and we're going to go through a few. But this was the one I saw over the weekend, and I still can't believe it. But you see the link right there to the files, the exact number here on the DOJ website. And this is a summary of it. Somebody named Megatron says an Epstein email exchange where they talk about Jesus returning and a little girl praying in bed about Jesus saving her life. I actually don't think they talk about him returning. It's actually, to me, worse than that. And you see a correspondence here. This is from Jeffrey Epstein to someone else, and the to is redacted. Blank said that she felt God's presence next to her when she was in bed, ... She knows that Jesus watches over her, ... And he helped save her life, period. Whoops. To where somebody responds back to Jeffrey Epstein, you should dress up as him when you see her. Meaning Christ. Meaning he should dress up as Christ when he sees this person again, is how I read it. There's been some speculation that the whoops in this email is that they killed this person, which is possible. Or the whoops could mean that the idea of Jesus preserving this person, whoever she was, presumably, is a sick joke because they've violated her innocence to the point where her life is totally ruined from here on out. I don't know what is what, but stuff, specifically, we don't know. But stuff like this is the currency, or it's the lifestyles that these people are in and they're dealing in. And Jeffrey Epstein influences who a Supreme Court justice is going to be. Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein decides that Ukraine is a good place to start a war because there's financial opportunity there. Like,
this is the guy that's texting in to Congress people that are in hearings during live while they're in hearings. She's taking messages from him, and he's just a constituent.
And the DOJ is still telling us, Todd Blanche is still telling us that they've essentially that Jeffrey Epstein was trafficking people just to himself and Ghislaine, that these other people are not that there's no one to prosecute, and if they had evidence, my goodness, it's insane.
That's the piggybacking on everything else you said before, and then the icing on the cake is that, and oh yeah, by the way, they're all seemingly above the law and not going to get held accountable for this, and nobody's going to jail. And that's where people, to your point, are like, we just can't sweep this under the rug, folks. So Bondi, Patel, Bongino, sorry, no. Call us whatever you want. We'll take whatever color pill you're saying. Black, white, red, green, I don't care. But this is a pill that has hurt a lot of people. And to try to digest this pill and to try to make sense of this stuff and to make, even the most basic assumptions of what's going on, getting back to our conversations about pizza and cheese and Kool-Aid and all that stuff, it just makes you sick knowing that so much of this stuff, that there are victims that are kids.
And I saw somebody say this: if you're just talking about pizza and cheese and grape soda or the cheese holders, if you're just talking about those items, why do you need to redact the names?
Yeah.
The only reason you have to redact names is if pizza and all that, and we've already talked about how they are talking about sexual deviancy with kids and minors. I mean, that's what this is all code word for. Now if you search jerky is a word that they talk about. There's the whole adrenochrome angle. There's the whole cannibalism angle. All of that stuff it's code for a really sick, just wicked and evil things. And they're at the head. And like you said, it's one thing to get on here and complain that James Comey and John Brennan or James Clapper and all these guys that framed Donald Trump for treason, terrible, horrible stuff. You guys should go to jail, and we're not seeing any accountability. And I want to see that accountability. Yeah. I expect it. I think the courts will never let it happen. Even if the Justice Department gets on board, I think the courts are never going to let it happen. So it's one thing to be mad about that. And some of these guys, who knows, maybe they're implicated all up the chain as well with Epstein as well. But now we have, this is just, it's worse. It's substantively worse than framing somebody for treason and that. This is worse. We're talking about cannibalism, satanic rituals, children. It's all there. It's all there. And we're just supposed to move on. And so
it's Sodom and Gomorrah.
It is Sodom and Gomorrah. And what you're seeding is a revolution. That's what people, I mean, and maybe that's the goal with all of this. I'm not naive enough to say that, these things couldn't possibly be fomenting something else. Like let's give them a little bit of here, and then we can manipulate the situation and, try to save our skin. I don't know. I just can't move on from it. And, and we're going to cover the news as it breaks like we always do. But I'm still, there's going to be stuff coming out about this for weeks and months and maybe years to come, and we're going to cover it when we can. And I'll give you another example. So on the same day, via the Epstein Files, we now know that on the same day that the FBI opened a child sex trafficking case against Epstein in 2018. So the way this goes is we think he was tipped off, because on that same day, he ordered 6 55-gallon containers filled with sulfuric acid delivered to his private island. And so people are now speculating, rightfully so, why would you need 6 55-gallon drums of acid unless you're trying to dissolve bone, human flesh and bone? And there you see it. It's right there. Well, it's kind of out of focus right there, but this is from the files, apparently. Yeah, right there. There's the link that takes you to it. which is good that people are posting the exact link on these things. That's kind of how you know when you can go there and verify that, because there are some fake stuff out there you have to watch out for. Then we have this one, this brings us to the title of today's show. There are people now thinking that Jeffrey Epstein may very well be alive. There's a lot of questions out there because of the Epstein Files themselves. One would be this, this document, which talks about what they did with Epstein's body. Now, I don't know if you remember, but because I've been in the conspiracy theory internet part longer than you have, Eric. I don't know when, but much longer than you have, I can assure you.
You're playing Division I ball as it relates to that. Okay. I'm kind of I'm on the high school JV squad.
When he was killed,
admittedly, so feel free to let me in.
When he was killed, when he committed suicide or was killed or not killed or whatever, there were photos of this guy's body on a gurney. Okay, you can go look him up. And immediately people said, that doesn't look like him. That looks like a fake body. That looks like somebody wearing a mask. It just kind of take all of the criticisms that you could have on that. They were all there. Like, you could find one. Okay, so people were saying, I don't know. I don't think that's really him. Okay, great. Well, to add even more intrigue to this, now we have this part of the Epstein Files, which talks about what they did with his body in the aftermath. And they were afraid of the press. There was too much press. So they created a fake body or a fake gurney with like a sheet over it with some boxes and pillows or something. Let's listen to this. So they were with Epstein's body, and they had secured the scene. Then blank remained with the COs and blank until personnel from the Office of Chief Medical Examiner arrived to transport Epstein to their facility. Due to the large news media presence outside the MCC, a male official called and said that he would be arriving at the loading dock with a black vehicle. In order to thwart the media, blank, blank, and blank used boxes and sheets to create what appeared to be a human body, which was put into the white vehicle, which the press followed, allowing the black vehicle to depart unnoticed with Epstein's body. So people are saying, okay, well, that seems reasonable that you would do that to try to thwart the press, but then obviously that can lead to other questions that maybe this is an admission of maybe this admission is also a misdirection. Okay, all right, so just take that with a grain of salt, park it, revisit it, and now we go to here. When it comes to the videotape that we were told by Dan Bongino, he's seen the tape, he killed himself. Oh, wow, they're going to release the tape. Yes, we're going to release the tape. I've seen the tape. He killed himself. Then they released the tape, and there was a minute missing. Then then people find out, no, there was more than 1 minute missing. It was like 3 minutes that were missing, not 1 minute. It just got worse and worse for Dan Bongino, who was saying, I've seen the tape. He killed himself. I've seen the file. He killed himself. And by the way, this is the same Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, I just want to remind everybody, that also said in those same interviews that Thomas Crooks acted alone. Mm-hmm. Okay? Nothing to see here. Thomas Crooks acted alone. That's ridiculous. It is ridiculous to think that. Or to at least say that without giving us more information as to why you think that with everything that we know. But anyway, back to this. Trust the FBI. Meanwhile, it looks like the FBI knowingly deleted the Epstein prison footage. Bill Barr has some serious explaining to do. So we have this document from the Epstein Files. An email told to start working out the system. Blank started removing the bad drives in order to rebuild the DVR. We're all familiar with what a DVR is. It's the way how you record, video cameras. Blank advised that an FBI agent was the one who pulled out the DVR. Blank also advised that he knew that by replacing both hard drives, the system would be wiped, and that he had advised personnel at MCC of that. So we now are learning, and there's even more context to that when they pulled, so allegedly the way the story it goes, again, this could just be an account of a lie or of a half-truth, but, we were told the cameras weren't working. Remember that? Before the tape that Dan Bongino said he had that proved that he killed himself, we were told there was no video.
Yeah.
Now,
there's like some sort of like a midnight glitch or something like that.
Malfunction.
Yeah.
And so now we get a little bit more insight that No, the hard drives were bad. They were bad hard drives.
Yeah.
So when they pulled the hard drives, everything's gone. Everything's missing. It's all gone. And yet we have this tape that doesn't prove anything, but we did get a tape. I've seen the tape. I've seen the tape.
Yeah.
He killed himself. He killed himself. I've seen the tape. Just not looking good for Dan Bongino. And then to add insult to injury, if that phrase even applies here, I guess injury to Dan Bongino's ego. Statement announcing Jeffrey Epstein's death emerges from files, but it's dated a day before he killed himself. A federal statement announcing Jeffrey Epstein's death has surfaced in newly released Department of Justice files, but it carries a date that appears to precede the moment he was officially found dead inside his New York prison cell. So there's just even more evidence, mounting evidence that something's not right about this. And then we get to this last little piece of information.
Could it have been just a clerical error? I'm just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Play devil's advocate all you want. I think
that's all I'm doing.
I think we should welcome that.
Yeah.
We should be able to steel man, so not straw man.
Yeah.
But we should be able to steel man their other side based on the facts that they're giving us. Okay. And some of this is circumstantial. But I think to steel man what they've done is, I think we're doing that. I think steel manning Dan Bongino saying, I've seen the tape, I've seen the file, he killed himself. We're releasing a tape, and then you release a tape with minutes missing of it. That's just insane. Okay? Like, I mean, okay, we're describing what happened. You come to your own conclusions about whether or not you believe what the government is telling you on this. But, I mean, we had a whole year last year of this. So, but no, yeah, absolutely. Could have just been a clerical error, 100%.
So do you believe that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were lying to Brett Baer when they said what they said on that during that interview when they were sitting in those chairs?
I think.
Do you believe they were lying?
People may get mad at me for this because they think I'm giving them too much of the benefit of the doubt. If you listen to what they said and use context clues, they were reporting on what some unnamed person showed them. They showed them the file. They showed them the tape. They were given information that somebody wanted them to have. I do not think they hit the ground running and were demanding to see this, that, and the other, and digging in there and doing whatever they needed. I don't know what the procedures would be to get access to classified information. I don't really think that's what they were doing. No. So were they lying? It's possible they weren't knowingly lying, but I don't believe what they said is true. I don't. I think it's reasonable to not believe what they said is true because they said there was a tape that was going to prove he killed himself, and then the tape didn't. The tape actually created way more controversy surrounding this whole thing, right? And now we have the Epstein Files that are showing us that are raising even more questions that the Justice Department, at least to date, doesn't want to address. They don't want to make this make sense.
Yeah.
Instead, now they're gaslighting us. This is just gaslighting.
I think it became a joke so fast too that everybody I think kind of did the little head turn when they heard about him being dead and then the way it happened and that there was video evidence missing. And then you started to see on every, local news affiliate, anytime some kid was being interviewed for having a great basketball game, at the end of his little thing talking about how great the game was, he'd say, "Oh, by the way, Epstein didn't kill himself."
Yes.
Remember? That became like a viral thing that everybody would do. And so then everybody gets to the point where like, okay, I guess he didn't. So then you see those guys sitting up there saying, he killed himself. And
with a paper bed sheet.
You're like, okay. And it just confuses the whole thing because then like, so if that's a lie, is it all a lie? And, to Sean Ryan's point and a lot of other big podcasters, they're the ones that are standing up right now and saying it's all a lie.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Just don't believe any of it.
I know.
Because it's all a lie. And so I'm sitting back here on the JV squad again to the point we made just a while ago. And I'm like, well, I've always taken this Sherlock Holmes approach to situations like that. I wait and see, and I think it's a mistake to theorize I'm looking at a quote that is straight from that whole Sherlock Holmes thing, and it's like it's a mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts. And I remember Robert Downey Jr. saying that in one of the movies too, and I was like, that's me. That's who I am. But I can't just bury my head in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
I would be foolish to do that. And all of us figured that out during COVID-19. And all of us figured that out when we looked at the ridiculous food pyramid that for so long we had been lied to about. And so all these things are now compounding. This is what I think about this situation, really. And I don't mean to belabor the point, but it's like it's now this snowball that's rolling down a hill, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you've got these big personalities that are jumping up now and saying, it's all a lie. It's all a lie. And you have to be careful, because once you sit back and say, all right, it is all a lie, then where do you go from there?
Yep.
What do you do? What do you do with that?
I don't. That's a great question.
Do you and I can't throw in the towel?
No, of course not.
We're patriots. We're raising children. We want to make them good Americans. So what do we do with all of this information, and how do we really come to conclusions that allow us to sleep at night?
That's a great question, and we need to we need to figure out a way to answer that. Because I don't really know.
Because otherwise, it's time to put a sign in the yard, go find a plot somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, and build a bunker.
Yeah.
And just get away from everything and everybody. I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that
I got
either.
Too many friends, and I love watching my kids play basketball. And
I love my church.
I love right.
So
sorry, we got deep there. I apologize.
But you mentioned that Sherlock Holmes quote. That was there were those two movies that RDJ made with Guy Ritchie is the director.
Correct.
Okay? Madonna's ex-husband. Okay. Madonna deep in the Kabbalah, deep in the mystic satanic Kabbalah, as I'll describe it. I've always wondered what Guy Ritchie thinks of that. Obviously, they're not married now. But so if you take a step back at those two movies, those back-to-back movies with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law.
Yeah.
Okay. The first movie is about a secret satanic elite that are in control of governments across the world.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's the first one. That's the first movie.
We did not talk about this before the show, by the way, and I did not say anything about that.
No, I actually really like those movies.
Yeah, I did
both
too.
of those movies. I like the second one better. The second one was panned by critics more so.
Yeah.
The first movie is about secret satanic Illuminati type, Masonic thing. Secretly controls the world through rituals, and they even talk about a fertility ritual where one of the main characters was conceived. Okay. That's the first movie. And the second movie is about false flag terror attacks to start World War I in 1890 versus in the turn of the 20th century.
I know what I'm doing tonight. Going back and watching those. I'd
The
forgotten that
his first movie is about secret societies and Satanism and the occult. And the second is about the industrialization of war and framing and Moriarty is basically trying to start a war by blaming it on France or Germany or vice versa.
Yeah.
And it eventually leads to an assassination and basically an Archduke Ferdinand moment that would have happened in 1890 as opposed to, I don't know, when did World War I start? Is it 1914, 1918 or so? I can't remember. Anyway.
A little bit earlier than that, but yeah, it got really crazy.
Right. So those two.
Good call.
It's just interesting to think about.
Yeah.
What they're actually showing you in these films is a lot closer to the truth. Than it is actually fiction. And we're running out of time, but just look at this. This to me is the biggest new piece of evidence that right now is pointing to Jeffrey Epstein possibly not being dead at all. The Epstein Files have revealed a username tied to Jeffrey Epstein called Little Saint Jeff, or Little St. Jeff 1. I think that stands for Little Saint Jeff, as in Little St. James Island. It could be just Littlest Jeff 1, but I think it's Little Saint Jeff is what he's trying to do. The account is intact. It was linked to Jeffrey Epstein himself through receipts in the recently unsealed Epstein Files. These documents include a YouTube subscription receipt for a UFC event addressed directly to Little Saint Jeff 1, confirming it as his username. People online matched this exact username to a Fortnite profile on Fortnite Tracker, which showed stats like Silver 1 rank in Chapter 5, Season 1, post-2019. This account has won in 2025 and past activity flagged in Israel. So this doesn't mean that Jeffrey Epstein is in Israel playing Fortnite and he's alive, but it does seem to think that somebody, at a bare minimum, with access to his Fortnite gamer tag was playing, according to these sleuths on the internet. And here's kind of a rundown. Epstein Files list a YouTube account under the username Little Saint Jeff 1. DOJ files show Little Saint Jeff at yahoo.com, linked to Epstein's main email, which is gvacation. The same username appears on Fortnite with documented V-Bucks purchases, including a $25.95 in May 2019. Fortnite Tracker shows activity in Chapter 1, Season 10, August through October of 2019, overlapping with Epstein's reported death. The account later shows gameplay in Chapter 5, Season 1, December 2023 through March 2024, reaching Silver 1. Activity in 2024 was traced to Israel 4 years after Epstein's death. Wins and stats are logged into 2025. After this news went viral, the Fortnite profile was set to private. The account itself was also removed from the Wayback Machine today. So basically a digital trail tied to Epstein's known emails, usernames, and payment records showed continued online activity years after his reported death, followed by rapid disappearance once exposed. This was written 3 days ago on February the 6th. So is Epstein still alive? Based on our Sherlock Holmes theory, we can't say conclusively that he is, but there is stuff out there that seems to indicate it could be. He could be.
Yeah.
He legitimately could still be alive. We've got to take a minute and 20-second break because we went long today. I cannot believe it's 52 after the hour. Back in just a second.
I'm Brian Norris, retired Army First Sergeant, husband to Kelly, father of 3 amazing girls, and a lifelong Arkansan who puts faith, family, and fair elections first. When Independence County demanded real election transparency, I led the charge, petitioning voters and winning at the Arkansas Supreme Court. Now, Little Rock bureaucrats are punishing counties like Searcy for putting voters first. That's not real conservatism. It's big government overreach in disguise. That's why Trump allies like General Michael Flynn, Mike Lindell, Justice Michael Gableman, Colonel Conrad Reynolds, Senator Wendy Rogers, and Senator Mark Fincham back me. Together, we'll secure Arkansas's elections and inspire the nation. As Secretary of State, I'll implement President Trump's executive order, verify citizenship, replace hackable voting computers, and build trust with verifiable paper ballots. I'll cut red tape for businesses, harness our natural gas and lithium boom, and attract tech jobs to grow Arkansas strong. This is our fight, our future. Join us.
Paid for by Norris for Arkansas.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being with us. We're winding down the show, but we've got more news to get to before we go. This was the article that I read over the weekend, and it is outrageous. And if you read anything, I think you need to read this. This is going to show you how Pam Bondi is not only not doing the big things, she's not doing the little things that could give us institutional long-term victories here in this country for the right wing. Specifically, this is a post over on Zero Hedge, authored by the Vice President of Gun Owners of America, a terrific organization. He writes, John Velico writes, in November of 2024, the American people decisively elected Trump. Okay, we know all that. Says, yet inexplicably, the Trump administration has failed to take even basic steps to effect permanent change. For example, the administration often has taken the easy path of using temporary executive orders rather than insisting on permanent legislation. They say this same dynamic exists in the world of litigation where Pam Bondi's DOJ has chosen temporary fixes over permanent solutions. In addition to having repeatedly bungled implementation of President Trump's agenda, Bondi's DOJ has deliberately avoided letting cases reach final judgment. For example, the DOJ has repeatedly attempted to moot litigation involving Biden-era policies, even after a judge seems on the verge of striking down those bad policies through a precedent-setting decision. Yet all this tactic does is ensure that a future Democrat administration will be able to put these Biden policies right back in. So why does the Bondi DOJ work so hard to prevent lasting victories in court for Trump coalition interests? That's the question. Indeed, with DOJ friends like that, who needs enemies? If the Bondi DOJ's hostility to the groups that made the Trump coalition possible, hostility to the groups that made up the Trump coalition continues, if this hostility continues, it will seriously damage any chance of success in the 2026 midterms. So read this article. It gets into the minutia, and it's not just with gun rights. They actually go and they talk about other failures as well. Okay, how this is the pattern. First, avoid siding with gun owners even when they are clearly right. Second, delay, deny, and avoid pro-gun rulings. Third, don't settle meritorious cases. In fact, work to prevent pro-gun decisions by mooting challenges so that gun owners can't get permanent relief, thus preventing lasting victory for gun owners. And the reason this is happening is because of Pam Bondi, but it's more specifically because our DOJ is populated with communist attorneys, in my opinion. That's my opinion. But somebody's got to do something about this because this is just absolutely insane. I know the process of confirming another attorney general is daunting with the Senate the way they are. But, Eric, I mean, this article is comprehensive. They could be doing basic things by letting these cases get to a judgment. And it would be better for me, you, our families moving forward. It would make it so much harder on Democrats if they ever get back in power, and they're not even doing the most basic things that you would expect somebody on our side to do.
Yeah, it's the swamp being the swamp. And, yeah, that's incredibly frustrating because it's just, as this article points out and as you just read, it's going to lead to failure at a bigger level if the midterms come up and they're not able to keep the House and major control in the Senate. Then I mean we're lame duck now, and that is a brutal reality.
Here's a public service announcement. The Florida Department of Health just found that your favorite bread is laced with carcinogenic glyphosate. Florida's been doing great work. We've missed this. We haven't covered this. They found arsenic in baby formula, and now they have found that popular brands like Nature's Own, Dave's Killer Bread. Ooh, what an apropos name. What an appropriate name. Dave's Killer Bread. They've got elevated levels of arsenic in them. Joseph Ladapo's doing good work. I've seen the press conferences with Casey DeSantis. Again, I was not a DeSantis person. I was a Trump person all the way. I'm just reporting the news here, so don't get upset. Some people get upset when you talk about positive things going on in Florida. Our food is toxic.
Yeah, it is one of the biggest feathers in the cap of the first year of this administration, which is they're exposing the problem with our food and what we're eating and what we've eaten for a generation and what our kids are eating, and trying to make changes to fix that. I mean, I bought my first bag of potato chips last week that had and it was all written all over it. Zero. These are Doritos.
I've had some too.
You know, they're at Sam's Club now, and that's one little petty example. But I've talked about before how I feel bad about the fact that I've used the excuse before that I was raised on that, so it can't be that bad for my kids. But then you look at the differences in the ingredient profiles of what those foods were, what was in bunny bread in the 80s when I was growing up. It's not the stinking same. It's absolutely different. So to say, well, I was raised on Fruit Loops, my kids should be able to eat Fruit Loops and they'll be just fine. No, they're very, very different,
totally different
chemicals and ingredients in foods from the 80s and 90s when I was growing up and what's the junk that's in them now. And we've got to get this stuff out of them because it's causing major, major health problems.
I completely agree. The bread I was raised on looked like the images that you just saw. It looked like that. But you know what it would do after a couple of weeks? It would mold. When is the last time you've gotten bread from the shelf of bread, not the bakery,
Right.
and it's molded, and you find mold on it? It doesn't happen. I mean, I quit buying normal hot dog buns a long time ago because I realized, wait, these hot dog buns have been in my pantry for a year. There's no mold on them. You've got these people that take Big Macs now, and that you can go, and they literally been years, and the Big Mac has no mold on it because it's not real food. So I started. Most people think you just need to bake your own bread, but a lot of people can't do that. My test is, it still may have bad stuff in it, but my test is I go to the grocery store, and if I want bread, I'm going to get it from the bakery because I have found that bread molds. I got sourdough there a week or so ago, went to make a sandwich the other day, covered in mold. So I'm like, well, hey, I mean, this has got to be better if it's going to grow molds than the stuff that doesn't grow mold. So at least that's my carbohydrate triage at the grocery store.
I like it.
So, Eric, I appreciate you being on the show, sir.
Great conversation today, brother.
Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this video. I'm sorry I can't talk today. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors: Red Vive Health, New Horizon, Real Estate Gateway, Sight and Sound, T-Guard, Bail Bonds, and Sherrod Chiropractic. God bless everybody out there watching. Just remember, God is in control as we report on all of this really dark stuff in our world. God is in heaven, and he is on his throne. We will see you tomorrow.